So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with RokoM, Michelle. And this week, we're going to talk about the power of facing your fears.
Oh, no.
I know. Well, it's powerful for me. So I'm going to start with a quote. The fears we don't face become our limits. And so, and it's interesting, Roko, because in coaching, it's one of those things that a lot of times the resistance people have. I'll ask the question, and respectfully, what are you afraid of? Because that's the thing that a lot of times is holding us back from doing stuff. So when I think about facing our fears, it's about acknowledging that scares the crap out of me. And it could be a promotion. It could be some job situation that people are, oh my God, you'll be great at doing X, Y, Z. And inside you're like, are you freaking nuts right now? But it's those moments that when we step into it and step through it is our growth opportunity. And I think, and that's the biggest value in facing them, because I'm gonna give you one other quote that from years ago that came to me is face your fears and do it anyway. Mm-hmm. So you're bobbing.
I am, because it totally resonates with me. And I'll share a personal story around scuba diving. So back when I was still dating my husband and we were talking about, where would we go on our honeymoon, or, those kinds of things. He loved to scuba dive, and I get claustrophobic very easily, as you know, Michelle.
Yeah, I do know that.
And the thought of going underneath, 30 feet down and be dependent on some apparatus. Mm-hmm. And it was just very scary for me. But I'm so glad that I did it, because I have so many great stories now around scuba diving with my husband. And even through the certification, it was quite a comical thing, but we won't go there today because we're talking about facing our fears. But it really did. I grew as a person, one, because I realized that I can overcome my fears, and actually I can enjoy those things that were very fearful, that I was fearful of. And it to your point about awareness, part of it was, the first step was being aware. What kind of being that emotional scientist, if you will, what's creating the fear around going underneath the water, and what do I need to do to prepare myself to know that I can survive it. Mm-hmm. I needed to know sign language on how to communicate with my buddy around, hey, I'm ready to go up to the surface,
right now,
freak it out, kind of thing. But it was those kinds of things that gave me security to prepare myself to do it and get through it and actually enjoy it.
Yeah. And part of it, what comes to mind too, is practice. Mm-hmm. It's the doing of the stuff that you move beyond the fear. One of the memories that I have when I was very intentional about stepping through fear and recognizing it, I'd gone through an emotional intelligence boot camp decades ago. It was like 8 days, 5 days and 3 days chunk. And that's where I got face your fears and do it anyway. It was one of the things that was said there all the time. But I was also going to college at University of Phoenix. And so I was driving into Reno. It was in-person classes. And there was a sign, and I was on my last class and going to graduate. There was a sign in the break room wall that said, basically, if you're interested in being a speaker for the undergraduate class, contact da-da-da-da, right? So this was a graduation that there were about 1,000 attendees in person. And I looked at that sign, I'm like, what idiot would sign up to do that, right? I had like a 45-minute drive home from class. I went in a couple days a week, and it was in the evenings from 6 to 10. And I'm driving home, and I'm thinking to myself, why do I have that reaction of you basically have to be an idiot to get up in front of 1,000 people and do that? And I thought, because I'm afraid. Mm-hmm. Because I had such a fear around public speaking, it wasn't even funny. I mean, my legs would just collapse from underneath me. And so as I drove home, I realized I needed to face my fears and do it anyway. And so the do it anyway part was to submit to interest, no intention of ever doing it, but I at least needed to submit. So I did, I applied. And then what you had to do was prepare this 7 to 10 minute speech. Anyone that knows me knows I speak in bullet points. I mean, I'll write like little poop, 7 to 10 minutes is a lot of words. Okay. A lot of words. So I had my daughter's help and her friend. She was a senior in high school at the time. And I crafted my speech and I submitted it. I did everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. Well, then I get a phone call. And it was probably a couple weeks later. We'd like you to come in and interview with your speech, because there were several candidates that had been selected. And I said, what? Well, yeah, you actually need to do your speech. I'm like, okay, another fear level. Okay, face your fears again, because I mean, I had faced it the first time. So then I go in this panel and I give my speech. Scary thing, mind you. I have a fear of speaking, public speaking. Mm-hmm. So I'm done. Okay, I faced that one. I'm good. And then a few weeks later, I get another phone call. You've been selected as the speaker for the, I said, what? I said, but you don't understand. That's not why I applied. So I did it. I got in front of the 1,000 people and I did the speech, and they laughed at the right times. I was numb the entire time. But I say that because doing what I do now for a living, which leadership development, I'm in front of people all the time.
You're on stage all the time.
Thank you. And so I look back on that and think, had I not done that, would I be able to do this? And I don't know. I don't know that I would have.
So reflecting back on that though, Michelle, so I heard you say, you just did it, you jumped in, but you utilized some resources, you pulled in your daughter and others to help you go through it. What were some of the other things that you did to manage that fear in the moment?
What did I do? So this is decades ago.
Well, think of a more current one.
Well, no, but when I think about stuff like that, Roko, I think about the fact that what I used to tell my team all the time, and this is when we were in finance, right? And in fact, I still tell people, I ask, is this going to matter 5 years from now? And the majority of the time, it's not, right? This inconvenient experience or the fear, whatever it is. And the other is, what I'm doing is not saving lives. So this is not the end of the world. I'm going to get up in front of people. And if I crash, I crash. But I didn't want to live with regrets. And I think that when thinking through it, that was probably the biggest thing, is I didn't want to go, man, I really should have. Or what could have happened if? And
I heard two things. I heard you gave yourself a reality check, like, does this really matter, in 5 years, or, am I going to die from this? So you gave yourself a reality check as one. And then of course, now I just forgot what the second one was, but.
Well, the other one is that I didn't want to have regrets.
You didn't have regrets. No regrets.
Yeah.
For me,
Roko.
Yeah.
I'm right here. If you know where you left off, I'm right.
Thanks, wingman. I appreciate it. For me, it's breathing. When I get scared of something, I can feel my heart racing, like it will jump out of my chest any moment. And learning how to slow that down and just, I'll count to myself, like I'll count to 10 over and over in my head, and I'll just take some deep breaths and breathe through it. And then before I know it, it's over with. Even like smelling salt, not the smelling salt, but the scented oils.
Oh yeah.
Scented oils. Just breathing in, some of those scented oils. It just distracts my brain away from the fear. And then I'm like, I'm charging forward. And
well, you're right. So one of the quotes that I ran across was around the fact that it's a mindset, right? And so we have to make sure that we don't get hijacked. I did cave repelling one time with this group again years ago, And so it was the hole that you went through is Calaveras County Caverns or whatever. And it was like the height of the Statue of Liberty once you got through this hole that you rappelled down the middle. Thank goodness I hadn't seen where we were rappelling down into. I was just outside the hole, but I kept letting people go in front of me. And I was literally, out of this large group, the last person to go, because I thought, I didn't come all this way to go home and not do it. But scary stuff. And to your point is, how do you ground yourself to where the fear is not the barrier? So you first have to recognize that's what's getting in the way. And of course, with rappelling, it was obvious to me that that's what was getting in the way. But it's like, then how do you center yourself, ground yourself so that you can step into it and be successful? Because if you're in that fear place, then you're not thinking logically and critically, and you know, you're at some level, you've got emotions just running rampant through your body. But yeah, so there's a number of things, but I look back on it, jobs that I stepped into that I literally had no experience in that role, that somebody had faith in me because of skills that I had something else. And you were there to help me through one of them. OS moments, you know, I mean, manager of education standards. What did I know about that? You know, I had network, I connected with people, I had a passion for stuff, but those are fear-based things that it's like, okay, you know, like Kathleen Sullivan would say, put your big girl panties on. And let's go and do this. So face your fears and do it anyway, and figure out what you need. And to your point, what resources you have around you, because I tapped you, I tapped Carol Bennett, there were other people. I said, okay, I don't have this skill set, I have others, but help me think through it.
And that no regrets piece, I'm gonna bring you back to that. It's so powerful too, right? Because you talk about growth is on the other side. When you step into it, growth is on the other side, and that no regrets piece plays into it as well.
Well, and the other part is the experience that you have on the other side of it. No one can take that away from you. And all you do then is you just build on it. You know, it's like, okay, I did that I didn't think I could do, that I was scared to death. What's next? I mean, for you, it's like to take someone has a fear of closed-in spaces that's real, and go scuba diving. I mean, I had challenges when I went scuba diving, because I'm like, okay, I can't just breathe however I want. I mean, it was like, holy cow. So I can't imagine.
And now it becomes a context, right? So the next fear that's out there, whatever it is, I can say, well, heck, if I got through the scuba diving, or if I got through that one, I know I can get through this one. Right. So it helps you to build that confidence, to just continue to step into it and try it. Take that leap of faith and do it.
I agree. I love it. So what do you want people to walk away with?
I want people to walk away with, be that emotional scientist. When you have fear, dig deep and say, where is it coming from? So that if there's an opportunity for you to address that, address it. And I loved your no regrets. Give yourself a reality check. Don't let yourself regret not doing something, because there's growth on the other side. There's just pathways and opportunities out there that you couldn't even possibly imagine.
No, I agree. I think the thing that comes to me, because as I was thinking through the fear, there's certain things that you're faced with that it's obvious that fear's in the way. Like the repelling thing for me, and getting up, you know, I mean, to actually the act of speaking, but not the comment that I made. But for me, it's like the comment, my reaction to someone advertising and posting, you know, hey, apply to be the speaker of the undergraduate class. And my reaction being, what idiot would do that kind of thing? Of course, I didn't say it out loud. It was in my head. But if that's the thing, if that's the thing, it's not obvious, and there's some other judgment or something else going on, look a little deeper. So, you know, because the majority of the time there's some level of fear in there. And I think the power of facing your fear is first surfacing that it is, that's the thing getting in the way. And so I think that's my one thing is things that you may not label as fear, take a second look, and then face it. Yeah. So
I love it.
thank you. So this has been Leadership Soundbites with RokoM Michele. Please like, share, subscribe, give us topics. And if you're interested in being a guest, let us know that too.
Yeah.
So until next time, have a great one.
Bye-bye.